Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Marrero, are these patients in Puerto Rico are there patients in Puerto Rico still receiving medical care in temporary facilities?
Yes, ma'am. Vieques Island.
Why has it taken so long to rebuild these facilities?
The process, I don't know if you're familiar, but in Puerto Rico, we're implementing for the first time in FEMA history what is called Section 428. Section 428 was added to the Stafford Act after Sandy, with the Sandy Recovery Improvement Act. That's essentially the alternative procedure that we need to follow in order to get the reimbursement process with FEMA. In essence, in general terms, the big difference is that before you can initiate any permanent work or permanent fix, FEMA and the state and the subrecipient, they all have to agree on the fixed cost estimate, because in essence, it works like a cap grant. So the state and FEMA has to agree how much money you're going to have before you can essentially start work. And also, I'm sorry to add, the fact that Section 428 is a pilot program. There's no clear guidance in writing, so we're essentially designing the plane as we fly it.
Okay. And picking up on what my colleague said earlier, you said there were 20,000 homes still using blue tarps?
That's an estimate, ma'am, yes.
How many roads still need to be repaired?
The entire 16,000 mile, there's no permanent road. There's no road that has been permanently fixed.
Not a single road in Puerto Rico has been permanently fixed?
Yes, ma'am. Under FEMA, no.
And you said not a single home either?
Yes, ma'am. The 108,000 families that participated in the STEP program, it was only temporary roof or temporary repair.
So not a single home has been permanently fixed? Not a single road has been permanently fixed?
No, through the public assistance program or FEMA.
Through the public assistance program?
We received some aid from non-for-profits to help people, but not. Under the PA program, under FEMA, you're correct, ma'am.
And not a single school has been permanently fixed under the FEMA program as well, right?
Unfortunately, so.
I wanted to clarify some inconsistencies, because I think it's very important for the American people to understand the correct facts in this situation on the state of recovery. We heard the president say last month, he tweeted that Puerto Rico has been given more money by Congress for hurricane disaster relief, $91 billion. Mr. Marrero, yes or no, is this figure accurate?
Ma'am, I have my one-pager of that in order to make sure that I have the correct facts. $91 billion was an internal estimate by the Office of Management Budget. So that was just an estimate of how much it will cost the recovery of Puerto Rico.
That was an estimate of the cost, but...
For the 10, 15 years.
But they have not been given $91 billion.
No, ma'am. Only of that, $41 billion has been appropriated by Congress. Unfortunately, only $11.2 billion has been disbursed, and essentially that's only for emergency work.
Okay, so the answer is no, the figure is not accurate. How much of the aid allocated to Puerto Rico have actually reached the territory?
11.2.
It's at 11.2
11.2 billion. That includes.
And it's emergency only, right?
Essentially, ma'am. Yeah.
And lastly, when I was last on the island, I visited communities that develop sustainable recovery plans on their own, because there has been no kind of long-term permanent recovery investment that has effectively reached many communities on the island. So I saw that solar panels were insured I see that people started installing solar panels to ensure that if another hurricane were to come, the community would have an energy resource. Could you share with us about how the people of Puerto Rico have responded to this disaster on their own, like some of these ad hoc methods that are being used on the island?
Well, I think that first of all, when you talk about Puerto Rican people, the only word that it will come to your mind is resiliency. Even though that we have faced so many challenges, and even though children are still waiting for the schools to be repaired, thank God, no riots, no looting happening in Puerto Rico. The people of Puerto Rico, we help ourselves. You will see across the island people a lot of electric cords to help your neighbor and help the neighbor. So essentially, the people of Puerto Rico, they didn't wait for the government to respond. The government itself was a casualty because of the magnitude of the disaster. So people starting helping each other. Non-for-profits start getting to Puerto Rico and just Puerto Ricans just became what we are, Puerto Ricans, and we are resilient, we help each other. Unfortunately, that may not be an excuse to delay the process, to delay the recovery process. So they're still waiting. People are still waiting very patiently. Unfortunately, I think that we just are at that juncture in which we cannot wait. We're talking about people. We're talking about children without playground area, children that are not able to learn in a healthy environment, and 20,000 families still waiting for a decent housing to protect their families. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I yield back to the chair.